Somalia's fight against al-Shabaab militants has been dealt a severe blow. This after the country's defense minister and military chief both resigned from government. Now, according to an official at the Prime Minister's office, the two men submitted their resignations at the weekly cabinet meeting. There have been reports of a rivalry between the two outgoing military leaders. Some of their colleagues reportedly say the men have been complaining about a lack of cooperation by the country's top leadership. But no specific reasons have been given for the resignation of Defense Minister Abdirashid Abdullahi Mohammed and General Mohammed Ahmed Jumale. Well, CGTN's Abdulaziz Billow has the latest information coming out of Mogadishu regarding these developments, and he joins us now live. Abdulaziz, these resignations indeed are quite a surprise. What more can you tell us about the reasons behind them and whether or not there's been any official response from government as yet?
Well, Lindy, no formal communication yet from the government. All we know is that the two military chiefs, the defense minister and the chief of defense forces, did present their resignation to the weekly cabinet session here that happens every Thursday here in Mogadishu. And that session dragged throughout the evening until yesterday evening, when the information minister announced to the media that indeed those two officials, the cabinet had indeed accepted their resignation. And so far, the information minister has also notified us that a new army chief has been appointed to replace the outgoing former chief. And regarding the defense minister, the information minister wasn't willing to go into much details. All that he could offer us was that the minister resigned due to what he termed as personal reasons. But according to some media accounts, we're hearing that they might have been huge differences in opinion between the two army chiefs. That is the military guy who was heading that military force, and also the defense minister. And the decision for their resignation seems to have come from the top office, and that they were called to resign by the government, namely the president and the prime minister. But in the past couple of weeks, barely exactly 2 weeks ago, Lindy, if we go back, we will see that there was a huge challenge here facing the Somali army. The al-Shabaab militant group overran a military post not far from Mogadishu, one of the heavily secured bases and one of the regions that the al-Shabaab used as a launching pad. They attacked that place, killing almost 17 soldiers and seizing 11 military trucks. So that indeed was a huge blow to the government. It was quite embarrassing for the government here that its forces that is ready rather to replace AMISOM come 2018 could be attacked during at such close proximity to the capital. And the al-Shabaab destroyed a bridge that connected Afgoy and Barire. That's the place that came under attack. So these were two huge blows, and they're seen as some of the reasons as to why the government needed to change its strategy in terms of military approach. And that's why these two senior officials had to go, Lindy.
Well, you mentioned, Abdulaziz, these recent brazen attacks by al-Shabaab. But on the ground, what is the likely impact of these resignations of the defense chiefs on the war against al-Shabaab?
Well, Lindy, for one, the resignation itself yesterday plays out well for the militant group al-Shabaab through its propaganda websites. It's saying that the resignation of the defense minister and the chief of defense force is indeed a sign that the Somali federal government is weak in its approach in the fight against the al-Shabaab. It's claiming the upper hand. It's claiming that it's the main reason and the main focus that led to the resignation of these two senior officials. That is, according to the militant group, it's playing well in their hands. They're trying to use this as a propaganda in retaliation to the recent attack against the government base there that I've mentioned earlier in Barire. So definitely it will deal a huge blow in terms of the war against terror, because this is the biggest resignation to rock President Farmajo's government, and it's affecting the security sector rather. This is one area that the president promised to prioritize during his campaign, and it was one of his first pledge during his inauguration. He said that he's going to eliminate the al-Shabaab within 2 years. That is the end of 2018, and it coincides with the exit of AMISOM. So the government here is of the view that the two officials who resigned yesterday could not deliver on this. So the president is of the view that he wants a competent national army in place by 2018 to replace AMISOM and to wage the fight against the al-Shabaab. But none of that, Lindy, is happening at the moment. There's no efforts on the ground yet to integrate the various military from regional states into a competent national force that can be able to be called the Somali National Army. So for now, the government is saying that it has named a new army chief who is going to lead the fight against the al-Shabaab, and also the main priority is rebuilding the army. That is the key target for President Farmajo. So for now, the only support that the government has is AMISOM and Turkey, that has created a new base here that will take a couple of years to train enough soldiers to replace AMISOM. But for now, they will rely more on AMISOM and the U.S. firepower in the fight against al-Shabaab, Lindy.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that update. Abdulaziz Bilo, live for us there in Mogadishu.